My jealousy almost cost me my marriage. It was Hilda Guthrie's after-hours office party. Hilda was a 60-year-old accountant who had worked for Comstock and Bannister for almost 50 years. She had been hired right out of high school by Rayson Comstock's recently deceased father and had never had another job. It was a small meeting, just the office staff and a few guests. Chase, our protagonist, was invited because his wife Angela was the office manager and go-to person at the firm. And yes, it was a law firm. I didn't normally go to such events, but I liked Hilda. She had been a great help to my wife when she first started working, but I had another reason. By law firm standards and by any other standards, my Angela, in her 24 years, was pretty young to have advanced as far as she had. I suppose it wouldn't have mattered if her success had been a little less precipitous. She'd been hired at 19, right after 2 years of college, mostly in the computer field. She went from clerical worker to assistant bookkeeper to personal secretary to the miss who does it all and manages it all. Angela had a contributing factor. Her promotion began immediately after Philip Bannister took an office in the firm. Philip is the youngest grandson of one of the original, also deceased, founders. Philip showed up at the new location, and within 4 weeks, Angela received her first promotion. Shortly thereafter, she received her second promotion as well as a hefty raise. She is now considered the heir to the retiring Hilda. And how many co-workers she's already jumped over, more than 1 or 2. I suppose that shouldn't be a concern, but there have been more. Of course, all law firms and small white-collar firms have Friday happy hours, and Comstock and Bannister is no exception. So every Friday, like clockwork, Angela would call and remind me that she would be running a little late. Sure, the tardiness hadn't changed and the calls were just as reliable, but twice recently I had to call back and was told she wasn't in the office. Then I called her cell phone, but the call went to voicemail. Both times I asked her about it, and both times she said she was with one of the attorneys who was signing or changing the will. I guess now is a good time to wonder what exactly I do for a living. I'm a farmer, or pretend to be. There aren't many real farmers anymore. Most of us try to survive by doing something else. Let's say I'm a farmer who works at a local high school as a math teacher and sometimes a coach. Teaching jobs provide a steady income and amazing health benefits. And farming is, shall we say, in my blood. Angela is also somewhat of a farmer. Her dad runs the local Food Lion store, and her mom sells homemade fruits and vegetables. You see, most people don't think about it. Farming is developing the soil to produce mostly food, but also wood, tobacco, and other things like hay for guinea pigs. So think about it. The guy in the grocery store is part of the farming chain. Okay, got a little off topic. Blame the author, not me. Do I wear a suit and tie? Do I even own a suit and tie? Oh, come on. I'm a teacher and a hayseed. I wear t-shirts and jeans to school and overalls in the field. Nobody complains. Why would they complain? The kids I teach are all killing SATs, and the kids I coach are all having a good time. On the other hand, have you ever seen a lawyer? Have you noticed the tasseled shoes, the $80 ties, the leather windbreakers, the fine weave of expensive shirts and sports jackets? I saw and thought, there they are, but I'm afraid Angela thinks so too. I have hobbies, as we all do. Golf is not one of them, a waste of good farmland. Do I ski? I can. I like to dance, mostly two-step. What do they call what those guys where Angela works do? I've seen them at her Christmas parties, which is another new problem, but I won't go into that. So what are my hobbies? I fish, I like to horseback ride, and I like to go boating, canoeing. That bothers me too. Angela and I literally bonded over fishing rods, not really, but it sounds good. She had her own pony when she was young, and we went through most of the easy Northeast Rapids and fished a fair amount of places that can only be reached by canoe. So when did these things become so proletarian to her? That's me talking, not her. They say life is complicated, and I believe them. But when does one thing become another? Or, how should I put it, something scary becomes something beautiful? Angela was pregnant when we got married. The child is mine, a little girl. She is now 3 years old. Angela was 21 years old and I was a sophomore in high school. I was 23, so for the math savvy, I'm 26, and Angela is 24. I pulled onto the street next to the firm's office, a big old house in town that had been converted for business. Parking my scratched gray late-model pickup truck, I walked up the steps and into the firm's office. There were about 30 people here, mostly office staff and a few of Hilda's friends. I was considered a friend of Hilda's. I looked around for Angela but couldn't locate her. I asked around but couldn't find anyone who knew where she might be. Then Rita Cameron saw me. Rita is Angela's best friend at work. She came over. "If you're looking for Angela, she's at the courthouse with Mr. Bannister. They need to finish some paperwork." I asked, "Really? It takes 2 people to do that?" Rita replied, "I only work here." I left Rita and wandered around, saw and congratulated Hilda, and spent a couple minutes with one of the other young lawyers. I found one of the more mature secretaries, and together we hid in a corner where we chatted about the usual nonsense. I was perfectly fine with all of this. I was wearing clean jeans and a clean black t-shirt. Before leaving school, I wiped the dirt off my tennis shoes. It was springtime, the sports fields were a little scruffy, and we were doing abbreviated practices for the junior varsity boys. It was about baseball. It was getting a little late. Some people had already left. Some of the women had kids and families that needed to get home. We were fine, as Angela's mom did the housework while she and I were at work. I usually left first and picked up the baby. Angela would get home a little later than I did and start dinner. Finally, I looked up and saw that my wife had arrived. Philip Bannister was standing right behind her. Angela was wearing a tan-colored sports jacket covering a dark blue button-up blouse. The collar of the blouse extended beyond the lapels of the jacket. It looked like 3 buttons were undone, so the blouse was quite loose. She looked sexy. She was wearing a dark blue A-line skirt, all very professional, brown hair tucked into a bun, dark brown glasses, makeup flawless. She looked great, like that naughty librarian commercial. Before she saw me, one of the women next to her must have said something, because Angela lowered her gaze to her blouse and then looked around. I watched her pull back her coat to check something. Then a woman stood between Angela and everyone else and pestered her, blocking everyone's view. It didn't matter. Even from where I was standing, I knew what I was seeing. I set down my glass, a red Solo cup, and headed for the door. What did I see? Well, I'm not stupid. As I crossed the threshold, Rita saw me. She had that look in her eye. I realized she saw what I saw. I had to get out of there. I quickly and nonchalantly headed for the door and stepped out of it. I looked back. Rita was still staring after me. Philip Bannister was too. I got out, sprinted to my truck, got in it, started it up, and drove about a block down the street. I needed to catch my breath. What was I going to do? Could I have made a mistake? No, I hadn't made a mistake. Things were starting to come together. I had to go somewhere right away. First, I called Mrs. Simmons, Angela's mom, and told her I had a problem and that she should call Angela to pick up our baby. She said she would call, and I rushed down the driveway like a deer home. Tail deer, okay? I decided I would drive home and park my truck in the barn. Angela never went in there again. That wasn't true. She went to the barn all the time, said she liked the atmosphere, the quiet. Yes, the quiet, the 2 horses, the chickens, the 2 dogs, and I should say, a nasty little rooster who liked to fight. You go to the barn, and the first thing you say to yourself is, "Oh no, don't sit down and walk barefoot, he'll nibble your toes." I came home, started the truck in the barn, slipped into the empty stall, and sat down on a cracker box. I thought about it. That's how it was. I'd known Angela since high school, but I'd never dated her. Thought she was too immature, too stupid, I guess. I knew of her, of course, watched her from time to time. A real tease, pretty, popular, always on some guy's arm. She was the girl who was always with the hottest guy in the hottest sports car. She was, how shall I put it, Totally unstoppable. Why was she dating me? It was simple. I was hot. I needed a date. I saw her and asked her out. The date was hardly anything amazing, just a party, and I needed a date to show the girl I had just broken up with. It was the end of summer, September. I pulled up to her parents' house, walked in, and sat down. Her dad and mom were gracious, like they were trying to be nice. They were the nicest parents I'd ever met, and it was a little creepy. They explained that they knew who I was, and they knew who my parents were. And after all, I had asked their daughter out just a couple days before. Did they hire someone? Are they really that worried? Angela came out of the living room. We were sitting in the breakfast room. We could hear her coming down the stairs and through the house. She walked into the breakfast room, and by God, the earth stopped moving. The sun froze in the sky, and I was speechless. She was the most beautiful girl I'd ever seen. Hair swept back, gemstone earrings, a thin gold necklace with some kind of jewelry that dripped down between two devastatingly perfect breasts that were accentuated by a snow-white blouse with the top buttons undone. The pleated miniskirt didn't hide the two gorgeous legs. The low-heeled shoes, maybe 2 inches, lifted her calves just enough. I was blown away. This girl was a walking dream. We went to a party and I couldn't get near her all evening. She was the center of attention. I don't think she even looked at me once. But I knew where she was. It seemed like every time I was involved in something or with someone, I heard the cutest giggle. Sure enough, it was worth my looking up, and she would find herself surrounded by a crowd of admirers. Someone would say something, and she would roll her pretty eyes and laugh. I admit it made me jealous. Around 11:30 p.m., she found me and told me that she had to be home by midnight and that we should go. I was surprised that she even remembered who had brought her. It just so happened that I drove an old S10 pickup truck in those days. It was clean, but it had old-fashioned bench seats, thank my lucky stars. I started to drive her home when she slid down beside me. She cocked her head, only 6 feet tall, light as a feather, and after a summer in the sun, swarthy as a berry with bright blue eyes. My height is 1.81 meters, but no one cares. She whispered, "Did you see me tonight?" I smiled. "Yes, I saw you." She rolled over onto her back, her small breasts heaving under her crisp blouse, and laid her head in my lap, face up. She giggled. "I can have any guy I want tonight." I continued to smile. "I don't doubt that." Then, after looking me over 100 times with a glance of her long lashes, she asked, "Did you see that?" "Yes, I saw it," I said, and then she stunned me. Lifting a tiny palm and running it across my cheek, she asked, straight out of left field, "Why did it take you so long to ask me out?" Stunned, I replied, "I don't know, I've never thought about it. You're kind of immature, you know." "Chase," she whispered through compressed, kiss-ready lips. "I've been waiting. I've been doing everything I can to get you to pay attention to me. You must know how I feel." She sat up abruptly. "Look, I'm a virgin." She grabbed her breasts and squeezed them. "A lot of guys have played here." Another button came undone. Suddenly she climbed back over and wrapped her arms around me. It got so bad that I had to stop. She finished, "Only you, Chase. Only you." I was shocked. I was clutching my legs. I exclaimed, "Who are you kidding? Certainly not me." She abruptly retreated to her side of the seat. She was warm, her hair smelled like fresh hay, and her breath, oh my God, I wanted her to stay put. She looked out the window and muttered, "Okay, take me home." Thank God I was wearing loose black jeans. Anyway, just as I suspected, a tease for a guy. I drove her home. We pulled up to her house. She didn't wait for me to help her out. Getting out of the car and opening the door, she announced, "If only with you, this is my last date. Never. If you don't ask me out, I'm not going anywhere. Just watch." I said, "Okay." She closed the door and ran up the steps to the front porch of her parents' house, turned and yelled, "You're the last one." She turned and ran inside, slamming the front door of her parents' house. Did I believe it? No, but a few days later I started getting calls and visits, mostly from a girl I knew named Ariel Fraser. Ariel was Angela's best friend and had been all their lives. Ariel would call, for example, on Friday nights, "Why don't you call and see if Angela's home?" Or I would get a call when I was in town, in Waynesboro. "You haven't seen Angela anywhere. You know she's waiting for you." And so I waited. It took almost a month, but curiosity finally took over. Plus, some of the guys I knew were partial to Angela and started talking to me, and more often than not, ogling me. Okay, I had her home phone number. Ariel had given it to me. I started calling. I called on Friday or Saturday night. I called Sunday afternoon. I found out that she really liked to talk. She was quite interesting. Sometimes we talked for hours at a time. I knew about her school affairs, too. By then, everyone seemed to be in the know about what was going on. I started spying on her at school. I was in college at Wilson University, so I was getting away with it. Of course, I got caught. Next thing I know, I'm giving her a ride home. I finally got to the point of asking her out. We went out again. The second date was to go to the movies. We ate popcorn, and she cuddled. When I drove her home, I asked her, "So what happens if I never ask you out again?" She replied, "You wouldn't like it." This is when I thought I was going to hear some stupid threat. I asked, "Okay, what won't I like?" First, she squinted her eyes to let a couple fake tears leak out of them. Then she grinned and spat out, "I'll never date again. I'm just going to be an old maid." Talk about high drama. Yes, I believe that. Why me, Angela? Why all of this? You could have gotten any guy you wanted. She flashed her eyes. It's because of school. I was in middle school and we were brought to high school and you were our guide. You were so handsome and so kind. I knew. I realized it all at once. I've known ever since. And she put her hand on my body. That you are my Prince Charming. I looked down. Her hand was so tiny, she was wearing clear nail polish, no rings or stupid jewelry, nothing like what most other girls wear. I looked at her. It was probably the first time I really looked at her. So sincerely. She was so pretty. A perfect little angel. I believed her. That's where it all started. And here I am waiting for my wife to come home. I know she was unfaithful. We have a 3-year-old child. We had talked about having another, but in the last month or so, she had shelved the idea. Now I knew why. The whole baby thing felt like a tragedy. Sure, our girl was conceived out of wedlock, but we made amends and got married as soon as we found out. Sometimes I wonder about that. She rushed into bed with me right away, like she couldn't wait. But she must have known something about birth control. Angela's pregnancy has not been easy. She is a petite woman. She spent the last few weeks in bed, blood stains and all. She was very scared. With me, it was like a dog being afraid of separation. She had to know where I was every minute of the day and night. What was she afraid of? Childbirth? Talk about labor. 17 hours. I think I would have been afraid of labor too. But she said yes. And then she said, wait. What am I supposed to believe? And now for the sex. Sex? Once upon a time, I was in Allah's garden, happy as a pig in mud, and the last couple months? Ever heard of Death Valley? Why? I think I know why. Now, I'm in the abyss. No, it's not me in the abyss. It's our marriage. I'd like to talk about how much she loved making love, but that's nobody's business but her and me. I will just say that she is so small and light that I can lie on my back, put my arms around her hips and lift her up. It's really great. We laughed about it and cuddled. This Bannister guy wasn't married. He didn't even have a steady girlfriend. I taught math. I could put 2 and 2 together. I realized that Angela's love, or was it a childhood crush, was dead. I was yesterday's news, last week's soccer score, last year's election results, a pair of old worn-out shoes. I'm so sad. Am I heartbroken? Very true. I'm heartbroken. I thought we had something, must be tasseled shoes, Mercedes, diamond ring on my pinky. Well, we'll find out. And we'll find out tonight. No private investigators, no secret wiretaps, and no high-minded, clever electronic surveillance. No, sir, we're gonna do it, and we're gonna do it tonight. Believe me, infidelity is a marriage killer. No second chances, no apologies, no forgiveness, no repeats, no new beginnings. Not me, buddy. I heard the sound of her Nissan pulling up to the house, the car door opening, the car door closing, the second door closing, a child's enthusiastic squeal. She was home. Home. What a joke. I feel so overwhelmed. It's time to face reality. Reality is on the doorstep. I got up and headed for the front door. Angela hadn't gotten inside yet. She was fiddling with her keys. I coughed to make my presence known. Angela turned around. Chase! What happened? I thought I saw you, but when I turned around, you were gone. Why did you leave? I went to the door, and this woman couldn't open a jar of mayonnaise without, "Hey, wait!" Could it be? Number bullshit. I growled at her. "Look, we need to talk." Angela replied, "I say..." She stepped back. "You go first." She didn't mean talk. She meant go into the house. I went into the house, turned around, picked up the baby, and said, "So, what's going on?" "What's going on?" "Come on. I'm not stupid. I saw your blouse. I saw one of the secretaries covering for you. You've been with that asshole Philip, haven't you? You've been going out with him a lot lately. Come on, enough." Angela responded first with a confused look, then, "With what?" "You know, I saw that blouse. What do you two do when you go to court or sign wills? Come on, admit it." Angela started to answer, but then changed direction. "Wait a minute. Wait, do you think?" I interrupted. "I don't think. I know. Now spit it out. Come on, spit it out." I was holding our baby girl, and she had her hands on her hips. She looked really cute like that. "What's wrong with you, Chase? What's gotten into you?" Well, I told her, "Look, I saw sex marks on your blouse. Where'd you get it?" "What? Chase? Now hold on. Just hold on." "When did it start, Angela? 2 or 3 months ago? I get it. Oh, I get it. He has..." She interrupted me. "What he has? I'll tell you what he has. He has I stopped her. "Money. Yes, he has money. It's all about money. I'm sorry, Angela. You knew when we started dating that I would never be rich. That's it. It's all about the money." "No, asshole, he gets more work than the others. He's in line to be a partner." She paused. Then, "Chase, you've got it all wrong. It's all wrong. God, you're so hard." I interrupted this rambling. "Oh, now I know. I'm the difficult one. I'm too busy. You're lonely. An old husband always working. Too busy for his sad and lonely wife. Good old Philip. He has time and money. He can dash. She stopped me again. Would I ever be able to get a word in? She said, "Hard-headed Chase. You have a hard head, but you're a hard worker. Chase, listen to yourself. Now listen to..." I raised my hand. "Sure. I never pay attention. I never listen. I'm supposed to be the best listener. But he listens. He's so sympathetic, wonderful sympathetic, Philip. He understands. Yeah, that's when you tell me I never take you seriously. I never hear you. That's not true. I listen. I listen all the time. You..." "Jesus, Chase," she cut me off again. "How stupid you are. How can you think? Why, when we're doing..." I shook off her coldness. "Making love. It's sex. I knew it was. He's a more attentive lover. He does things to you that I could never do." She pushed me toward the door. Am I ever going to be able to finish that sentence? "I was going to say that when we make plans, you're always so raring to go with your fancy ideas," she said hesitantly. "Yeah, whatever. Now listen to me, Chase Fitzgerald. This is all wrong. You don't understand. I've never..." Aha! I finally got her. Of course it's not my fault you were a virgin that first time. Oh yeah, now you're saying I never gave you a chance to fool around, to date other men. You never had a chance to try. She stopped me. She slammed her knee right into my body. Before I could react, she had me on the floor. I had completely forgotten that I made her take karate lessons. She's so small, you know. She laid me on my back. She leaned over and started kissing me. I hated her. She had such soft, sweet, warm lips. It wasn't fair. In between kisses, she said, "Now listen, you big dumb asshole. I think I only have about 3 minutes before Kira starts screaming. Kira is our baby, well, or Carapoo." She put her feet on my shoulders. She took my right hand and pinched my nose. "Are you listening?" I nodded. I listened, then got up, packed my bag, and scurried away. I had already warned her not to use martial arts on me. It wasn't fair. Okay, it wasn't technically martial arts, but the principle was the same. "Okay, now listen," she said. "First of all, Philip likes guys, and he's worse than a $3 bill. So it's time to stop with that. Now second, yes, my blouse was, no, it's stained." She bent over slightly to show me the stain. "See? Baby food, Gerber pear and banana baby food. There was a young mother in the courthouse. I was holding her baby and feeding it while the mom was dealing. A little bit got on my blouse." I realized she was really turned on. She continued, "How could you chase? I'm your wife. I love you. I've always loved you. Weren't we planning on having another one?" "Okay, I understand. I was distracting you. But you should have known. I told you I had an infection. I told you I was damp all the time." I remembered. She told me, "Chase, I had an infection, but did I blame you for going out and buying something and then giving it to me? Did I?" I shook my head. "No. No, of course you didn't. Why wouldn't I? I didn't do it because I know you love me. I know you would never do anything to hurt me. And now you're thinking, how could you? Chase, I used the strength of my shoulders and arms and lifted her up. I pulled her into my arms. "Oh my God, honey, Kira started to rage. Oh, Angela said. I let go of my wife. "I'll get it." As I reached out to take our daughter, Angela told me, "You owe me for this. You owe me a lot." I replied, "I'll do anything." She grinned and said, "I know you will. And you will today. Tell me, what's Mommy's favorite treat?" I think I finally had a come to Jesus moment. The woman I married has boundless energy. She is simply unstoppable. Looking back, I realize that when Angela sets a goal, she achieves it. Does that bother me? Not at all. And are we happy? Oh, yes. We're happy all the way. I mean, completely. The end. Subscribe to my channel. Thank you.